James Holder, IFL TV, in association with MTK Global. I'm in Scotland today. With me, I've got another promoter, Eddie Hearn. We're here for Unification Clash. Ricky Burns taking on Julius and Dongo. How are you, mate? You all right?
Welcome. Good to see you. And you're going home today, and then we're getting a sub, like a tag team. You and Coogan, he's up for the weekend.
Typhoon and Earthquake.
Good.
Yeah. Let's talk firstly about Ricky Burns. Another huge moment for him to make history and reiterate his stance at the top of Scottish boxing, nonetheless. Reiterate his stance at the top of Scottish boxing.
Yeah, I mean, we seem to say the same things at these press conferences with Ricky. You know, he's making history. He's doing it for the first time, and he is. You know, the first three-weight Scottish world champion, and the first unified world champion if he can beat Ndongo on Saturday. So, both these guys taking the fight for the same reason, really, which is they believe they can beat the other and become the unified champion and move on and be in those massive fights. So. You know, I think they have to be applauded for that. It's a dangerous fight for both guys. And Ndongo, you see by the size, you know, he's a big 140-pounder. Ricky's really a lightweight coming up to light welter. But Ndongo can punch, but Ricky has the experience. And although Ndongo won the world title in Russia, in Trojansky's backyard, it's not the Hydra. You know, on a bank holiday weekend with 8,000 people screaming and shouting, and it is a different kind of atmosphere. So a big opportunity for Ricky Burns on Saturday.
The fact that he went out to Russia to win that title, there was no rematch clause either, so they probably looked at him as a bit of a routine defence.
Yeah, that surprised me, because when we talked about the fight, you know, I had to ask 5 or 6 times, are you sure you don't have a rematch clause? And the answer was no. So he was a little bit of an unknown quantity coming into that fight, but of course the style and the manner that he won the world title certainly made everyone stand up. You've just got to take this call.
Go on, mate. Sorry about that. Important call. When the
it was a very important call. It was a very good call. I'll tell you what happened, because I don't mind.
Go on.
Ron Lewis from The Times sent Anthony a message saying, is it true Vladimir is out of the fight with an eye injury? And let me tell you, we're sitting here now, I need a new pair of pants. So I had to phone Bernd Bonte, and he didn't pick up, which was even worse. And then he just phoned me back. He said, what is this rubbish? He said, absolutely fine. Thanks, Bernd.
So you can confirm everything's okay?
Everything's 100%. They've got a week to go of training. Can we just stop training now? Do you know what I mean? Just go and have a burger or something. They ain't got to make weight. Just chill out. You've done the hard work. Let's not get any silly injuries anywhere, please. So yeah, no, I'm back. The first part of that interview, I was a bit I was talking to you, but I wasn't really there. But now I'm here. I'm ready. And we're ready for Glasgow, baby. We're ready for 3 weeks of action. I'm talking about the Hydro Arena. I'm talking about Ricky Burns, the guy who I walked into his changing room after the Dejan Zlatikanin loss. He was in tears. The career was over. We were selling 7,000, 8,000 tickets at Arena. We went to Braehead to fight Zlatikanin after the Crawford loss. We sold 3,000 tickets. I did my bollocks on that night. Ricky lost. I thought it was all over. We got the fight with Figueroa, right? Great payday for him, but at 140, Figueroa ended up coming in about £160. He put up a great performance. We carved out the shot against the Rocco for the world title. He became the first Scottish freeweight world champion, defended against Kilreddick in a tough fight. And you know what that fight gave him? Belief that he has still got it. He's got his mojo back. He's got the Essex quiff going on. You know, he's down there, he's working hard. Saturday night, Unification. Unification, all the belts, strap season, baby.
Strap season.
And then next week, we're in Liverpool. Martin Murray against Gabriel Rosado. If you're sitting ringside, whatever you do, don't wear white, because you're going to need more than a Vanish stain remover to get that blood out your clobber. Let me tell you. You've got Masha Dodd going for the Commonwealth title. You've got Rocky Fielding against John Ryder for the British title. And then 1 week later, we got the small matter of 90,000 people in the biggest fight in British boxing history. And you know what? People say to me, oh, you're such a knob, the biggest fight in British boxing history. Fucking tell me another one. I had that geezer from Kiss Radio, what's his name, Merv? He's like tweeting me going, mate, you talk shit. Like I said, oh, Merv, right? Do me a favour, tell me a bigger fight. Ben Eubank, Foch Groves. Wait, we promoted them both. This is a much bigger fight than those two. Much bigger. Tell me a bigger fight in British boxing history. And someone says, Lewis against Tyson. It was in America at 5 o'clock in the morning. Anyway.
What does this mean? Just talking about Joshua, if he does manage to beat Klitschko, does that...
He becomes the biggest star in British sport. He becomes, in my opinion, the biggest star in world boxing. We're just starting, we're just scratching the surface. This is the start of the world tours. This is the start of fighting in other territories, other countries. This is the start of bringing heavyweight boxing back to the masses. Yeah, and I know that in the world that we live in, which is you and me, the people that we hear in our ear all the time and see in front of us on our handset all the time is that hardcore boxing community. There is another world out there. That community have to be respected. I know they don't like me very much, but trust me when I tell you, this sport that you love is in good hands. But now, when you walk down the street, you've got people talking about boxing. You've got people talking about Anthony Joshua, Vladimir Klitschko at Wembley Stadium. So just let us do our thing and understand that there is a wide world out there to exploit this wonderful sport to, and we are going to do it.
AJ, we've seen some social media comments regarding he wants to be boxing's first billionaire.
No, do you know what? But it's like, look, of course, he's smart enough not to come out and say, I want to be a billionaire in boxing, because he doesn't want to, like, that's not the goal. He did an interview with a magazine and they said to him, do you think you can be boxing's first billionaire? And he was like, yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? You know, so, and went off to explain it. So, and that's where all the social media stuff come back and forward. I'm telling you now, Vladimir Klitschko is going to try and get in to Anthony Joshua's head over the next couple of weeks, particularly on fight week.
Is that with the old man in? Is that
cool? No, but all of that. No, wait. I think he'll do other kind of stuff. I think he'll do quirky stuff. And listen, got to keep your cool in this fight, in the ring, outside of the ring. This is massive. This is massive. This is a fight that the whole of Britain will stop for. Whether they're watching it on pay-per-view, whether they're in the arena, whether they're listening to it on the radio, whether they're following social media for the reports, I'm telling you now, the country will stop for this fight.
Is it quite remarkable that you've got a champion who's only 18-0 facing someone like Klitschko?
But that's why you've got to give him so much respect and props. Look at Deontay Wilder. How many fights has he had? 38, something like that. He ain't fought anyone like Klitschko. This is Klitschko's 29th world title defence. Anthony Joshua is the 3rd Olympic gold medalist that he is fighting, an Olympic gold medalist himself. This is Joshua's 19th fight. You know, people don't progress like this. People don't, Olympic heavyweight champions, in 3 years gone from a debut to a unification for the heavyweight championship of the world. You've got to give this kid props, let me tell you, and he lives and breathes for his job and for the sport. If you knew what he was putting himself through, if you knew the life that he was living to try and win these fights, you would have nothing but respect for this man.
I want to touch a little bit on the Hydro card. Obviously, Lawrence Okoli, aka Saucefoot, with his size 14 boots, is back in action. Good to introduce him to the Scottish native.
Of course, it's about going around and boxing on all these shows for these youngsters. You know, we've got Okoli, Kelly, Caldina. You know, they've all got the opportunity to box on a Wembley card as well, which is just incredible for them. Got another Olympian signing next week as well. Probably another couple to come as well. And this is the place for them. There's only one place. There's only one promoter. You know, I mean, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but it's true. You know, we are boxing these fighters all over the country, giving them the best exposure, giving them the broadcast that's continuously back boxing, and they've got us. They've got me. And I will make sure that I will deliver.
How involved are you with the young fighters?
Ask
like Josh Kelly?
Ask him.
Do you phone him up and go, oh, Coley, it's me?
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I mean, you know, yes is the answer. You have to have that relationship. It's very difficult. When we started out and we had 4 or 5 fighters, you speak to them 10 times a day. Obviously, when you have 50 fighters, you don't speak to them as much. Cool. But it doesn't mean that you're not thinking about them. It doesn't mean you're not plotting for them, planning for them. This is a lifestyle for me. Just like they live boxing, I live boxing, but I live it in another way. You know, I don't wake up in the morning and run upstairs at 4 o'clock in the morning on Leon C, but I do sit up till 3 or 4 in the morning, dealing with America, dealing with fights. You know, driving into the office at all hours of the morning to try and scan a contract that I can't even technologically know how to do. Find a way. It's a commitment. It's a life commitment to the sport. Trust me. And any fighter that wants to come with me needs to know that I will do whatever it takes to deliver for you. Right? So, and as a fighter, there's nothing that should matter more than that. Because if you're good enough, you will get the sauce. you will get the qualm. And I am the ambassador of qualm. I can imagine people watching this at home going, what a knob.
Ambassador of qualm.
Have you seen Jerry Maguire?
That's a new one. No. Bits of it.
Come on, Jerry, you're my ambassador of qualm. I don't know if it's corn or qualm or whatever.
Edwards, Butcher, great fight. One of these fights that could steal the show.
Yeah.
Two very evenly matched
We've got
fighters.
2 British title fights on the card. Normally, I always talk about back in the day, British title fight would headline the card. Edwards, Butcher, fascinating. Edwards coming off a world title defeat. He's had a fight since. Coming into Butcher's backyard. Edwards' first fight under Adam Booth. Great fight. Even Cardle against Barrett, really good fight. Barrett coming off a couple of big wins as well.
Barrett.
Yeah, and I like Charlie Flynn against Ryan Collins. It's an all-Scottish derby. You've got Joe Ham fighting for the Scottish title as well. You've got our 2 Olympians. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and the atmosphere is going to be absolutely red hot. I love coming up to Scotland. Flower of Scotland just before the world title main event. Mate, it's one of those moments where you get the popcorn in your pants.
What else are you plotting then? What's been going on? What else is sort of what's ticking the boxes? What's going through your mind?
What's going through my mind is just, we've got James DeGale's fight, which we're planning July the 1st, looking at various options there. Got some interesting things lined up for May the 27th undercard as well. Got a great fight for the Rhino, going to be announced next week, which will shock a few people. Yep. Couple of new signings, couple of potential world title shots for our youngsters. And then you start to sort of plan the new season, which is from September.
Any word or anything you can tell us on the corn chucker Dillian White on his opponent?
He's going to fight a top 15 guy who we're just finalising the contract for. There'll be an announcement on Tuesday about our June the 3rd card at the O2.
And he'll be headlining?
Yeah. Dillian will be headlining at the O2. O'Hara Davis, Frank Buglioni, defending his British title as well. All the young London fighters as well.
OD seems to be building up a good.
Yeah, he's doing things right. Yeah, I mean,
around himself.
I told the story. Listen, he came into the office, I don't know, a year ago, and everybody you need, and it's our job to carve out the character and the personality. Since people like you guys come along, it is a lot easier because you can sit down with them and get that personality to come out. Especially when you sit down with AJ. Just loosens up a little bit. People get to know, that relaxed AJ, which is important. Yeah, exactly. AJ. Yeah, not really like that, but anyway. And we have to expose that side to the public to build a fan base. So when when O'Hara Davis comes into the office, I said to him, tell me your story. And the story is inspirational, but it's the same story I've heard a dozen times. I was a kid on the street in a gang, got into trouble, detention centre, expelled from school, boxing saved my life. That is a story I love, but I've also heard it 40 times.
But do the other kids come into the Undertaker though?
No, but this is why I said to him, O'Hara, you've got to be different. You've got to carve out a personality for yourself. Be yourself, but be that guy that people talk about. So go up to the salon now in Brentwood High Street, dye your hair bleach blonde, and come out in your next fight wearing the Thomas Hitman Detroit Kronk's gym shorts. So he went straight up the high street and got it done, and had the shorts for the next fight. And that was the start of the madness from O'Hara Davis. People are talking about O'Hara Davis. I don't care if you hate him, but you'll talk about him. But you know something? He can fight.
If he backs it up,
listen, he can fight, and he will become a world champion, and I will take him to a world title. And when we get there, the work that we're doing on the way, I say to all these fighters, there are world champions out there now who haven't been built correctly on the journey. When they get to the journey, they mean nothing to the general public. We can't have that. When O'Hara Davis becomes world champion, trust me, people will have heard of him. People will know about him. They don't have to like him. I don't care about that. But they have to talk about him, they want to watch him, and they want to buy a ticket to see him watch. And might want to buy a ticket to see him get beat.
I'd love to see him fight Josh Taylor.
Love that fight. That's a fight which should happen sooner or later, and they'll be getting an offer from us soon. I think we have to do, us and Cyclone, we have to work together to make that fight this year. Great fight. Josh Taylor's a good talent. It's a tough fight. It's a 50-50 fight. But they're the kind of fights that we've got to make, and I promise you now, there is more desire from fighters to be in these kind of fights, because as people start to make bigger nights, bigger fights, the fighters want to do it as well. And they want to make as much money as possible. They've got to be progressed at the right time. It's not a case of just slinging someone in. But if we believe we can win that fight, which we do, and they believe they can win that fight, which they do, why not now? Fighters can come back from a loss.
Scott Quigg out with Freddie Roach.
Yeah, big night for him. I mean, you got the Varel Simeon fight at Wembley. Interestingly, I'll tell you guys first, as always, the IBF have ordered that fight as an eliminator for their title. And if Jonathan Barros does not become available for Lee Selby's next fight, who he's got to fight next, the winner of that fight will be the mandatory for Lee Selby, and he will have to fight them straight after Wembley. So all of a sudden that becomes a very important fight, and it's a tough fight for Quigg as well, as is Luke Campbell against Darlis Perez. Very tough step up for Luke Campbell. You know.
All right. Well, on that note,
I've got to go to the airport.
I know you've got to fly back.
Yeah.
I appreciate you giving up a bit of time. And we'll
nice to see you, old boy.
Thank you, mate. See you soon.